Alright, so today we have a video about Echocalypse, and for this one, we are going to be talking about how to reroll in this game, and we are also going to talk about some of the future banners, so that you actually have a good idea of when you want to spend your gems. But before that, I do want to mention that this video is sponsored by Bluestacks. So first, I'm gonna be showing you how to play this game on PC, and also how to optimize this game depending on your specs. After you install Bluestacks, the first thing you would want to do is to actually create a new instance for this game, because ever since I started using Bluestacks, I actually found that different settings work better for different games. And so what I mean by that is if you go to this icon right here, this is going to be your multi-instance manager. It's going to open up this menu that is basically going to be your main hub for your multiple instances for Bluestacks. So what you need to do is to click this icon right here, and then you would want to create a fresh instance, so click on this. And then this is going to be the most important part. It's going to ask you which Android version you would want to use, and you can click this drop down right here, and then you can pick one out of the 4 options that we have. You can pretty much forget about these 2 options because these are going to be the weakest ones per se. And now you're left with Pi 64-bit and Android 11. But specifically for Echocalypse, your best option is going to be Pi 64-bit. It could also depend on your PC specs, but for my experience, I actually had better gameplay when I'm using Pi 64-bit. So for this video, we're gonna choose this. And then after that, you're gonna have to set up your settings right here and basically just put the best settings that your PC can handle. And for those of you who have really good PCs, then what I recommend is just put everything on high, but you don't necessarily have to set it on custom. Let's say that your CPU has more than 4 cores. That is going to be really good, but 4 cores is going to be more than enough for Bluestacks. And then after that, you're all set, and then you can press create. And just so you remember which instance is which, make sure that you rename this instance to something that you can remember. So now let's actually talk about how to reroll in this game, and what are the important steps that you need to do to make sure that you're getting the best out of your rerolls. So the first thing that you need to do is when you're first rerolling is that you're logging in using a guest account, because you can always bind your account later on after you get the characters that you want. On a side note, I do want to mention that if you're planning to reroll, just know that you have to be prepared when it comes to how much story that you have to click through. The majority of the time that you're going to spend rerolling is mainly going to be you skipping the story. And then as you're rerolling, you're going to have to push the campaign as much as possible until you're able to clear chapter 7. Because after you clear chapter 7, you're gonna be able to unlock this, which is basically going to give you a free SSR, and you're gonna be able to pick which SSR that you want out of the 10 pulls that you did. So for me, this is actually the second one because I'm actually way past chapter 7. And also keep in mind that you can only get SSR characters from the SSR pool in this banner. And to be honest with you, I have been playing this game for weeks now because I got early access, and we're gonna be talking about that later on. But the majority of these characters are actually not that good. A lot of them don't really have a good kit, and some of them are technically good. But if you're planning to play this game for a long time, then they're going to be easily outshined by the new characters in the future. So the only characters that I recommend are Zawa, Beam, and Dina. Zawa is going to be a really good character, and she is going to maintain her value even later into the game. She is a character that is already really good even at 0 stars, but as you play the game and you get more copies of her, maybe from the fragments and all that stuff, then she is going to be an even better character. So if you're planning to play this game for a long time and maybe you're even wailing, I recommend that you reroll for this character specifically because she is going to bring so much value wherever you are in the game. As for the other 2 characters, they're honestly not as good as Zawa. Zawa is the only character that is honestly worth rerolling for. The other characters are also good, just like what I mentioned before, but they are not as good, or at least they're not going to bring as much value as Zawa. So Dina is a decent healer. She can apply debuffs, she can also heal half your team, and she also has this after you get a gear set, which is kind of interesting because this means that she basically can't be one-shot, but it's not really that good because it only applies to herself. If this applied to more characters in your team, then this would have been broken. And as for Beam, she is also a good DPS, but looking at the current banners that we have right now, she's not really going to be a character worth rerolling for, especially compared to Zawa. So aside from the guaranteed SSR 10 pulls, the other thing that you can focus on is actually on the rate of banners. So currently we have 2 banners that are up, and that is going to be the one for Kiki, and the other one is going to be for Audrey. And between these 2 characters, the one that I actually recommend pulling for is going to be Kiki. Kiki is going to be a top tier DPS that is going to be really good even later into the game. And aside from being a really good DPS, another reason why Kiki is a great pickup is because we are getting Fenrir for free. And the good thing is that Fenrir and Kiki can actually be linked together. So these 2 DPS characters are already really good by themselves, but when you put these 2 characters together, they're going to be even better. Alright, so now I'm in the early access version of the game, and this is where I got to test the different characters and also the different features that are going to be coming in the game. So looking at the current banner right now, the one that we have is going to be Neptis. She is already out in the global version, but I personally think that she is going to be a better healer compared to Audrey. But aside from the healers, the other character that I actually recommend pulling for is going to be Vivi. So Vivi is going to be a really good character, not because she's a healer, but because she can provide a ton of protection to your team. She is one of the better units in the game, especially later on, and especially if you're able to get multiple stars on this character. If you're only looking to get 0 stars, then she's around S tier, so she's not bad. It's definitely worth pulling for her, but she's not going to be that character that is going to be meta defining. Most of the meta-defining characters in this game are in the form of DPS. But at the end of the day, you can always go for the waifus that you want. If you want to go for characters like this, even though they're not meta per se, let's say that you want to go for Icon even though she's not meta, by all means, go ahead. And the last thing that I do want to mention is that, aside from the characters that you can pull, you will eventually be able to pull for weapons for your characters. So the only characters that I recommend pulling weapons for are going to be your main DPS characters. Because weapons are basically just like stat sticks that are going to boost your units and therefore increase the scaling of their skills, and for the majority of the time, Echocalypse is going to be a DPS check. So it only makes sense to give your best DPS characters the best weapons possible. And so right now, the banner is not that good, but thankfully they gave me like a maxed out weapon for Vivi, so that is really good. But whenever we do get the weapon banners for the global version, I highly recommend that you only go for weapons that are for your main DPS characters. And that character for a lot of people is going to be Fenrir. And for Fenrir, this is the weapon that you're going to be looking for. This is also the very grindy part of the game because you need these materials right here. But I'm just letting you know that this is also a thing that is coming to the game. You're gonna get weapons and you're gonna have to upgrade those weapons using very rare materials. So just be prepared to do that. So yeah, that is pretty much everything I have for this video. Hopefully you found this video useful, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.